Hey, what's up, all you cool cats and kittens? We are going to be kind of switching gears, and instead of doing surface area, we're going to be looking at volumes for these next couple of sections. So, volumes is the space that the figure is occupied. It is measured in cubic units. So, volume is like, how much water could something hold, or something like that. Um, so the volume for a prism is the first one we're going to be doing. It is the area of the base times the height. So nice and easy formula there. So no matter what, remember the base is the side that is parallel to the other one. The bases have to be parallel to each other. So let's look at a couple of examples. So looking at this picture, I see that I have this segment, and that segment. So the base is really going to be the bottom of that box, according to this picture. You could, if you wanted, you could say that this kind of right side would be a base, and that's the height. It doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you want whenever it's a rectangular prism. It's pretty simple. So the area of a rectangle, in case you don't remember, is length times width. So if I'm going to use the bottom for my base, that would be 20 times 24. So the area would be 480 square centimeters. And then the height is going to be that other one, 10. So the volume was going to be the area of the base times the height. So that would be 480 times 10. That's 4,800 cubic centimeters. Centimeters squared times centimeters cubed. So volume is always going to be cubed for your label. Okay, number two, let's say that this is my base. Let me use the right side this time. So that means the area of my base, or my rectangle in this case, is 12. My height is 5. So my volume, 12 times 5, is 60 cubic feet. Okay, number 3 and 4, we're looking at triangular prisms. So we'd have to find the area of the triangle. Now I notice on this triangle, remember, area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. Now in this triangle, we don't have a base or a height, so we have to kind of make our own height. So, the height would be from vertex to opposite side, forming a right angle. Now, notice all of the three sides of that triangle is 8. This is a equilateral triangle. So if I think about what I've just created, an equilateral triangle has 60-degree angles. If I cut that one on top, it would be a 30-degree angle. So this is a 4 for one. If I do that, it would cut it in half as well. It's a regular triangle. So 4 would be the base of that 30, 60, 90 triangle, the short leg. To get to the long leg, you multiply it by the square root of 3. So there is the height of that triangle. It is 4 square roots of 3. So the base is 8 of the whole triangle. The height is 4 square roots of 3 divided by 2. So 8 times 4 is 32. Divided by 2 gives me 16 square roots of 3 for the area of the triangle. I multiply that by the height, which is 10. That would be a volume of 160, because 16 times 10 is 160 square roots of 3. And that would be cubic inches. Now, if they wanted a rounded answer, you would pull out your handy dandy calculator and just type that in. 160 square roots of 3, close that parenthesis. So it's about 277 cubic inches. Or whatever else you wanted to round it to. On 4, it's much easier. It's a right triangle, so we have the base and the height. So again, area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So that would be 6 times 10 divided by 2. That would be 30. And then, of course, my height of my prism is 5. So 30 times 5 gives me 150 cubic meters for my volume. Nice and simple stuff. Pretty easy section, really. The volume of a cylinder, again, is base times the height. The area of the base is a circle, so it's easier kind of to remember pi r squared times the height. So you're going to take the radius, square it, multiply it by the height, add a pi to it. Pretty simple. Okay, so the volume is pi r squared h. So what's the radius of this? 3. 3 squared. Height is 8. So that's 9 times 8 is 72 pi. It says leave it in terms of pi. So there's your volume, 72 pi cubic centimeters. Here we have an oblique cylinder. Looks like the diameter is 2 on this picture. So what would be the radius? V equals pi r squared h. If the diameter is 2, the radius is going to be 1. The height is 3. 1 squared is 1. 1 times 3 is still 3. So this is 3 pi cubic meters for the volume. So that's pretty simple stuff. Let's flip it over to the back side, see what we've got there. Oh, we've got some composite solids on the back, which is a three-dimensional figure that is a combination of 2 or more simpler figures. So you can find the volume of a composite solid by adding the volumes of the figures that are combined. So what that means is you're going to separate it into figures you know, and then that's going to help. And then you're going to add those volumes together once you find the volumes of the separated figures. Okay, so we've got a bullnose aquarium right here. We want to find the volume of that aquarium to the nearest cubic inch, so we're going to round it to the nearest inch. So looks like they kind of give you a hint here. We're going to separate it into a rectangular prism and then half of a cylinder over here on this side. Okay, so one thing you need to recognize is the diameter of that circle is 24, so the radius, if that goes straight across, would be 12, right? In my picture, beautiful. Color is so nice. Okay, so for my rectangle, the whole aquarium is 48 inches long. Well, the radius accounts for 12 of that. So that means the rectangle is just going to be 36 inches. So now I have the information I need to find the rectangular prism. It is length times width times height. So I'm just going to type that one in because those are quite big numbers. So length 24 times 24 times 36. Excuse me, I've got the Rona. Just kidding. 20,736. Volume is 20,736, and that's for the rectangular prism. Okay, now we also need to do the volume of the half cylinder, right? So if a cylinder is pi r squared h, a half cylinder would be pi r squared h divided by 2. Very interesting. So we just plug in the numbers. What's the radius? 12. So that'd be pi times 144. I'm just going to go ahead and square it now. And then what's the height of the fish tank? 24 divided by 2. Okay, so let's just type that in. I'm not going to do pi yet. 144 times 24 divided by 2. So it's 1,728 pi. Okay, so if the volume of the rectangular part is that and the volume of the cylindrical part is that, the volume of the total figure is going to be the addition of those two things. So we're just going to add those two things together. So 1,728 pi plus 20,736. Add those two things together. Rounded to the nearest cubic inches, 26,166. Rounds it up to 5. 26,165. 26,165 cubic inches. Neat. If you want to pause it here and try that lunchbox, that'd be great. But otherwise, here we go. Again, I've got a rectangular prism on bottom and a half cylinder on top. So the volume of the rectangle, very easy. Length times width times height, 36 times 10 is 360. That one's simple. The volume of the half cylinder. again, if a cylinder is pi r squared h, half of that would divide it by 2. Okay, so this is a cylinder kind of on its side. So you see the radius is 3, so that's going to be pi times 9 times the height is really the lateral distance of 10 divided by 2. So I've got 9 times 10 divided by 2 is 45 pi. So the volume of the total area, or volume of the total figure, would be the addition of those two things. So 360 plus 45 pi. Rounded to the nearest cubic inch. Doesn't round up, stays at about 501. I guess I should be using the approximately symbols for both of those. And don't forget that label, cubic inches. What a nice lunchbox that is. Okay, let me know if you have any questions on any of those, and we'll talk to you later. Have a great day, y'all.